Good evening, everyone. Go ahead and call the City Commission meeting to order. Val, if you call the roll, please.
Commissioner Snow?
Here.
Commissioner Curry?
Here.
Commissioner Delanoy?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Mayor Penny?
Here. At this time, if you would silence any device that makes noise, put it on silence or vibrate, please. If everyone would please rise for the invocation led by Commissioner Roy Johnson and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, God, I would like to thank you. And as everyone that knows me knows, I probably have more to thank you for than anyone. Right now, you have done so much for me. I know for absolutely sure in the last couple of months that prayer really works. And God, thank you so very, very much for all you do for me, for all you do for all these people here, for all you do for the people in our city, our county, our state, and our country. And I thank you, God, so very, very much. You do so much for us. It's just amazing how much you bless our country and our way of life. And God, I want to thank you very, very much in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, our risen Savior that died in our place and shed his blood for us on the cross. Thank you, God, very much for everything. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good job, thank you. So it seems a little backwards, but we just started the city commission meeting, but we're going to recess the regular city commission meeting, and we're going to open up the Community Redevelopment Agency, which is on our item 3 on our agenda. And we're entertain number 2025-R-32.
Resolution number 2025-R-32 by title only for final reading. A resolution of the Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Hollywood, Florida, approving the piggyback.
That's right, that's right, that's right.
I'm sorry. Approving the piggyback of the FDOT contract number BEG78 with Advanced Cabling Systems, Inc., awarding the purchase of the services provided for the installation of underground utilities in the amount of $50,139.05, and authorizing the city manager to execute the same, providing for several buildings, providing for an effective date.
Have anything to add, Joe?
So the ITS is the Intelligent Transportation System that connects the traffic signals together through the county system. So this is the last piece of underground utility that's got to be done for the overhead to underground project. So this was, we missed this on the items that were done. We were going through everything that needed to be done and paid for. This is the last item. But we will be coming back to you in the near future for the placement of the poles and the actual light fixtures themselves.
Any questions for staff at this time?
No.
Would anyone in the audience like to address this matter? Seeing none, we'll close audience participation and entertain a motion.
A motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion needed amongst the commission? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries unanimously. Now we'll go ahead and adjourn the CRA meeting and reconvene the regular city commission meeting and move to item 5, which is public comments. This is the time for the audience to address the commission on anything not on our regular agenda. Is there anyone that would like to address us? Yes, sir.
I have something to say.
Yes, sir. You have the floor. Just need to state your name and the city you live in, and you have.
Yes, sir. Hello. My name is Steve Updike. I am a 74-year-old American senior citizen. I'm from Virginia. I retired here to 300 Flomuch Street over 4 years ago. And I want to thank Police Chief Williams and the city for helping me to restore some of the peace and quiet I've had when I first moved here over 4 years ago. When I moved into my neighborhood at 1606 Cordova Avenue, the house next door to me was Johnny. That was my neighbor. He was a very good neighbor, good friend. He would help me. I would help him. We would help support each other. Johnny and me got along great. He let me into his house. It was the 1950s original house. Nothing had been done in 70 years. And he would let me walk my dog in his backyard. Johnny was Polish, but he was a heck of a good guy. And he died of suspicious circumstances before Marion Benet and Timothy Daniels took over his house. When Marion Benet bought 1606 Cordova, I tried to say hello to her, and all she said was, "We're taking over." The last time I heard that was when Hitler says, "We're taking over." My grandmother was Jewish, and they had to escape to keep from being oppressed. Marion's son, Timothy Daniels, after that, told me he had a criminal record. And then he also said he wanted to take over my property so he could park his work van or trailer on our property. And I said, no. He said he wanted to use my yard for his private parking lot. I said, no, he had a yard. They have a lot of yards. Benets own a lot of property, as you know. Timothy got crazy mad. He has an anger problem. And then he started to threaten to kill me, which is kind of crazy. And then, you know, he also has a criminal record of hurting people, so I just have to throw that in. So recently his mother, Marion Benet, started building a fence between our two properties. And because they tried to take our property to use it for a parking lot, I checked with the city to see if they had a legal permit to put up a fence. They did not have a permit to put up the fence or construct anything. Marion did not get a permit to build the fence, so this made it possible that Marion did not have a permit to rebuild the house. When she moved in over 2 years ago, she rebuilt the house at 1606 Cordova Avenue, and she not only rebuilt the house from the inside out, she built some rooms onto the back of it. Her good friend and neighbor, Linda De Castro, told me that Marion built a porch on the back of the house. I don't know if she had permits, but all I know is that she's been building for over 2 years now. And I talked to the people who worked at her place. They would talk to me. They were friendly. And she said that Marion was illegally paying them under the table to work for them. And so I'm asking you, the city, the state, and the federal government to investigate Marion Benet and her son for possible crimes, violations, as well as anything else they could be trying to hide or cover up that could be possible crimes or violations, because
Thank you, sir.
thank you for your help.
This is not the place.
I just, excuse me one second, sir. I'm not sure that we're the proper agency that you need to direct your concerns to. As I understand it, we've sent the police out there. As I understand it, your neighbor has a restraining order against you, and you have a restraining order against your neighbor.
Yes, I wanted to thank you because you've toned them down a little bit, but they're still, you know, they're still doing their
But
thing.
still not sure how this body can make your neighbors be better
Well,
neighbors
sir-
to you.
Well, sir, you are responsible for people who build things in the city, am I not correct? I mean, that's part of somebody's job here.
Those complaints go to code enforcement.
That's a code enforcement issue.
All right, well, I'm bringing it to your attention that nobody seems to care. If there's like two cities here, I feel like the tale of two cities. If you have money and you live here and have influence, you can get away with murder. But if you're some hillbilly like me who comes down here for 4 years, then the next thing I know,
Mr. Penny,
Excuse me, ma'am, you need to relinquish the floor, sir, and
I
let,
had something to say. I don't know what it
no,
was.
no, your time is up, sir. Thank you.
All right, what do you want to say?
You need to state your name and the city you live in.
Mr. Penny, my
I need-
name is Stephanie Radis. I live at 300 Fulmich. Radis. I live at 300 Fulmich Avenue in Holly Hill, Florida. I'm the homeowner of 300 Fulmich, and I need to tell you that Timothy Daniels, Dwayne Daniels, and Marion Benet, they do not have an injunction against me or Steve. We have a permanent injunction against Timothy Dwayne Daniels. I just wanted to correct that fact for the
Okay.
record.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have it. It's permanent.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
adios.
Mine's very brief, not as glad to do that.
Just need to-
My name is Thomas F. Heiser Jr.
Yes, sir.
I'm a former Vietnam veteran. I'm 77 years old in June. I work at the racetrack. I work at the Ocean Center. I work everywhere. I work
Yes.
at the church over here behind me.
And what city do you live in, sir?
I live in Holly Hill, 1245 Ridgewood, and Tropical Gables.
Thank you.
My main complaint is very simple. He knows that my main complaints are elaborate, but this one's very simple. I came out of my house in the morning about 3 days ago, went to walk on my normal morning walk when the sun's just coming up. Everybody that works 9 to 5, I say, oh, they're sleeping, they're 9 to 5ers, they'll be sleeping. They work 8 hours a day. I'm walking in my walker. I have a walker because my back is bad. And I walk probably 15 or 20 miles a day. My blood pressure is perfect for my age and probably for somebody half my age. But I'm not here for that. I'm here because I came out, I was waking up, I had my cup of coffee, I walked out on the sidewalk, and all of a sudden a 50-mile-an-hour big tired bike came down and almost hit me. He was electric, I couldn't hear him. I'm not hard of hearing. So I looked at him and I said, you know what, if I was a football player, I could have clotheslined you and you would have been on the ground in a second. That's not right. You've got a bike lane that's 5 feet high, wide, I believe, that the bikes are supposed to use, but they don't use it. They're afraid of the stupid drivers that are doing 100 miles an hour. So my basic complaint is you've even got the going the wrong way signs for the guys that want to drive against the traffic so they can see them before they hit them. I used to do that. I'm not innocent of that stuff because I'm afraid of these stupid drivers. They're texting all the time and they can't see you. And if they hit you, they'll think they hit a speed bump. So my simple request is please have your officers, especially the chief, and I'm not trying to cause trouble here. I'm just saying I'm 77 years old in June. I'm not disabled, or I am disabled according to my doctor, and I have to have my back operated on, but that's happening real soon. And I work all day, always moving. And my doctor said it's the best thing you can do. Don't sit around and get a big belly and drink all day and eat all day and then get diabetes and get your leg chopped off and that. I said, I don't do that. My girlfriend used to say, where's your off button? I said, I had never found it in my life. I'm sorry, I don't know where it is. I'm just telling you, please, tell your officers if they're going down the sidewalk at 50 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour in those electric bikes, and that, trust me, they can do it. They could just as well hit somebody taking their child out for a walk, or taking their dog out for a walk, and kill them in a second if they hit them that fast in one of those
Yes,
big
sir.
tired bikes.
Yes, sir. Thank you, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience like to address the commission on anything not on a regular commission this evening? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public participation. Mr. Walker, are you aware of that no building permit for a sign that the gentleman spoke of earlier today? Okay.
Or fence.
A fence, I'm sorry, a fence?
We'll have to look into it because
Okay,
we're
okay.
familiar with it.
And then, I too share your concerns about the e-bikes, sir. The e-bikes weigh 3 to 4 times as much as a regular bicycle. They zip up and down Riverside Drive on our bike path sidewalk combination. And they hit someone, they're gonna hurt them. Our chief is actually looking into what we can do, because unfortunately, they are legal to be on the sidewalks. We may be able to limit the speeds on the sidewalks, but the chief is researching that for us right now, so that, hopefully that comes back before this body in the near future. Anyone else want to comment?
Yeah, one other thing. Mr. Forte, since we've had a couple complaints about code enforcement from Mr. Updike, can we maybe send code enforcement down to that area to, like we did Riverside Drive, to do a sweep and see what code issues we do have?
Yes, yes, we can, but tonight's the first night he's mentioned anything about a code violation. Everything
Right.
that he's mentioned has been criminal issues. And what I've tried to explain to him is the 5 of you are the legislators. You're not the operations, you're not the enforcers. He needs to call code enforcement. He needs to call the police department. You are not responsible for that. and I don't want you to be responsible, and you shouldn't want to be responsible for that. So we try to keep redirecting him on how to make his complaints properly so that they can be responded to timely. But we will, I have it written down.
Yeah,
and we'll go and
I
take a
just,
look at
since he
that.
brought up code complaints, it might be a good idea to do a sweep through
We're
there.
going to take a look at it and see
Okay.
what's there, but
Thank you.
you're very
That's all I
welcome.
had, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
No.
Thank you. So now we will move on to item 6, which is approval of the minutes of the April 8th, 2025 regular commission meeting and the first PH on CRA plan amendment meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I second.
Hold on a second. Where are we?
Approval of the
We're on
minutes.
the approval of the minutes.
Thanks.
It's usually me. It's usually me that gets.
Sorry.
It's been a long day.
I made the motion, but I don't know who did the second.
Commissioner Snow.
Okay.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimously. We'll now move to the item 7, which is the consent agenda, and the action proposed is stated for each item on the consent agenda. Unless the city commissioner removes an item from the consent agenda, no discussion on individual items will occur, and a single motion will approve all items. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to discuss anything on our consent agenda? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion for approval.
I motion for approval.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. And now on to item 8, which is our regular agenda, which is Resolution 2025-R-35.
Resolution number 2025-R-35 by title only for first and only reading. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Hollyville, Florida, approving the piggyback of FDOT contract number BEG 78 with Advanced Cabling Systems, Inc., awarding the purchase of the services provided for the installation of underground utilities in the amount of $50,139.05, authorizing the city manager to execute same, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
Nothing's changed since we talked about it 20 minutes ago, right, Joe?
Nope.
Any questions for staff? Anyone in the audience like to discuss this issue? Seeing none, we'll close public participation and entertain a motion for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Now we move to item 9, which are public hearings, which is ordinance 2025-0-3084, second reading.
Ordinance number 2025-0-3084 by title only for second and final reading. An ordinance of the City of Hollyville, Florida, adopting the amended Hollyville Community Redevelopment Plan, providing for a 10-year extension of the City of Hollyville Community Redevelopment Agency's operational timeframe, providing for a 10-year extension of the City of Hollyville Community Redevelopment Area, Redevelopment Trust Fund, providing for the county TIF contribution rates for the Hollyville Redevelopment Trust Fund, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the Hollyville Code, and providing for an effective date.
And I think we have a presentation. You're going to start off, Amy, or?
Tom is here. Tom is the consultant that oversaw the project, so he's going to give you a little bit, because this is the public hearing, a little bit more of an in-depth presentation on what we're doing.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor, Commissioners, good evening. I've been asked to give an overview of the CRA Community Redevelopment Plan update. Again, we're almost coming on 2 years of when we started this. A number of you were in those workshops.
Yeah.
And we had stakeholder meetings and the 2 public workshops. So I will just give you an introduction, talk about a little bit what I call CRA.
Excuse me one second.
Yes, ma'am.
Chief, can you turn the
Volume.
sound system up? People are having a hard time hearing. It's all the way up.
I need to talk closer.
I think so. Can you hear any better now?
Can you hear any better now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? So let's go to the next slide. This is just to What is a CRA? Again, it's a community really redevelopment area, and it's a community redevelopment agency. Your city commission sits as that agency, so everything that transpires goes through the CRA agency. It was created 30 years ago, and it addresses the presence of, within Chapter 163, the conditions of slum and blight, inadequate structure, shortage of affordable housing, inadequate infrastructure, insufficient roadways or inadequate parking, public safety and health challenges. It's a pretty broad description of what Chapter 163 is, so that anything within the plan that addresses those issues are eligible for funding. How does the CRA address these issues? And the first one is to come up with a plan that you have adopted, and now we are updating that original plan. Next slide. When you talk about what's in Chapter 163, it refers to tax increment. There is no tax on this. It's just a nomenclature for the process, the formula upon which revenues are generated for projects that are within the plan. And this is a shared approach between the city and the county and any special districts that are within the area. So when the CRA was created, they had a base year, and basically at that base year was frozen, and then any improvements that went into were taxable within the CRA plan. Those revenues that generated in the improvement would go into a special trust fund just for redevelopment plans. So some of the projects that you're already working on, the undergrounding of your utilities, that's probably the most significant project that you've undertaken. Those resources went to undergrounding those utility lines. So again, that's the base year, and then from then on, the increment is shared, both the county and the city. Those monies go into the trust fund. Those monies can only be spent on projects that were identified in the CRA plan. Next slide. So, next slide. You were, in 92, you were created, and then you had your initial draft in 96, so we're coming up on the expiration 30 years. That's why this plan is asking Volusia County to approve it so that you could get an extension of 10 years, so the revenues would continue to support projects that have been identified in the plan. And then, as you can see, over the last number of years, you've had updated the plan, you've amended the plan, and then, as I indicated, in 2026, you have the sunset date. And part of this plan that's adopted, and then subsequently approved by the Volusia County, it will extend the sunset date by 10 years. And what we did before, when we had all of our public meetings, we have evaluated the accomplishment tasks to be completed. We identified community priorities, and we identified capital improvement projects, and we updated the increment fund projections. And I will say that all the projects that we're talking about, almost all of them are capital improvement. So that's to support the infrastructure elements of the plan. So, again, just to reiterate, 10 more years, address long-term funding of unfinished projects. Some of them were delayed because of COVID, and some of them were delayed within the original plan because of the Great Recession, 2007, 2010, when revenues were slow to come forward, and they continue to address the original slum and blight conditions. And again, as I just reiterated, it enables us to additional funding for infrastructure improvements. Process, again, as I said, we're coming up on our 2-year anniversary. We had discussions early on with the city and the county to indicate that we were in the process of updating and collected data. We held workshops And we've gone at least through the initial CRA plan adoption last several weeks ago. That came before you. And that plan has also been submitted to Volusia County's staff for their review. And I will tell you up front, your staff has gone extraordinary steps to work with the county. Since May of last year, when we actually showed them the initial draft, they have been part and parcel, at least, of all the information that you have been received, they have been received. Next step. So we had hoped during the original thing that we would be bringing this, we would be adopting it last fall, but again, the environment that we were in precluded getting the timely response from Volusia County. So we're, as I said, they've had that document since November of last year, and we have been working, your staff has been working with them to comply with all their requests and requirements. Hopefully after this is adopted, then it is scheduled for them to review it and hopefully adopt it so we can move forward. And again, that's where we are today. Next slide. Again, when we went through the whole workshop, we remember this is a two-plus mile corridor that we're dealing with. This is the CRA, the color code. Not everything in the, it's not everything is not the same along the corridor, so during the planning process, we identified specific sub-areas of need, and there were different needs within each of these sub-areas. We went through, we did the data to identify the age of the structures, and as you can see, a majority of the structures within the CRA were built in the 1950 to 1980, so some 50, 70-year-old structures, whether it's housing or commercial or industrial. Oldest development is in the southern portion of the corridor, and the newest development is in the northern portion of the corridor. And then again, just for those that are planning nerds, if you want, existing land uses, this just shows you that how many structures in the CRA, how many properties were within these. This map shows the different land uses: single family, vacant commercial, vacant industrial, hotels, motels, parking lots. So we have a pretty good inventory. Your city has that, your planning department has that, so it gives you a pretty good perspective on the issues that are related to the land uses within the core. Vacant parcels, again, vacant commercial, industrial, institutional, and governmental property by acreage. So there's not a whole lot of vacant parcel per se in the core. It's pretty well built. Just historical tax increment, the base year of 96, when it was originally adopted, was $88 million. You remember, this is the taxable rate. That's not how much money was coming in. That's just the base year. And then as of 2024, the last year is $388 million. So what happens is that differential is then multiplied by the millage rate in the county and the city, and that proportionate share is then placed into the trust fund. And the three industries, major sectors within your area are healthcare, retail, trade, and construction. And your CRA is unusual in the sense that you have more people. You have more people coming in doing the work than going out. Most CRAs that we work with, you have an outflow of employees. You have an inflow of employees, which is a very positive sign. And this just gives you just a reminder, we had the flyers, we had the website set up, social media set up, the contacts of all, going back to the various workshops on April the 9th and April 16th. That was 2023, believe it or not. Time flies, I'm getting old. So, those were the flyers that went out, also on social media. And then with each of the workshops, all the attendees were asked what you like about and what you don't like about each of the different nodes within the area. We had these big maps, if you may recall, and everybody put their, not only did they put their sticker on, but they wrote out their comments about what they liked. This is what we heard: transportation safety, the negative image of the city, and basic things, the economic development and sustainability, resiliency, localized flooding, water quality. These were the basic areas that we heard from the workshops. So even though this is almost impossible to read, but it's obviously it's on our website and it's in the plan, is that every comment that was made in those workshops went into identifying. So there's a line there that everything went into, and then that's how these goals were. Goals were quality of life, infrastructure, and attracting investments. And the tasks go to infrastructure needs, community character, business environment, future growth opportunities and economic development, and partnerships and public participation. So those are all the strategic elements that went into meeting the overall four pillars of the development. So again, whatever anybody wrote down and put in or called in, put that was identified. And now just go through the quality of life. This was probably one of the big ones, is overall living conditions, particularly some of the aesthetics within the community. Promote motel and business establishment physical improvements, initiate public realm improvements, and advance community initiatives and private partners to address affordable housing. Now again, the CRA plan is just one tool in the toolbox. Partnerships, private investment is going to be the majority of the support for your long-term community investments. So quality of life is one of the pillars. The next one, infrastructure enhancements. This goes again to the Ridgewood Corridor. One was to complete the undergrounding of the utilities. LPGA Boulevard was high on everybody's agenda. It's been something that you, the county, the state have been looking at. It's got problems, but they should be addressed. It can be addressed long term. And this is one of the elements that we thought and we believe that was most important to Volusia County itself, was the assistance in making this a reality. And then the railroad corridor, addressing that from a safety standpoint, also an aesthetic standpoint. And then the other one was stormwater system plan. You and many other communities over the last year have seen the impact of flooding and stormwater, whether it's rising tides or strong hurricanes or winds and the like. So that continues to be and again, not unique to your community, but it is probably high on everybody's community, developing your stormwater system to control flooding and water quality. Attracting investments. Again, you've already made a significant investment in the Daytona campus. How do we leverage that destination to attract surrounding property, private investment? There was a strong interest in creating a proposed entertainment district in the southern part around the distillery. Also coordinating with Daytona Beach's CRA, because it candidly, it goes under the bridge there. There was opportunity there. And then Volusia County indicated an interest in the small area industrial plan down by there where they have their facilities. They were going to be relocating those. They've got flooding issues. That was another area of interest and concern to Volusia County. And then to support existing business and recruit new businesses. High desire to protect your own. Keepers of the Vision. This came out in both our stakeholder and our meetings. Was instead of everything coming directly to the CRA, that you didn't have a Chamber of Commerce any longer, and that maybe there was an opportunity to have an advisory board that would help be advocates for continuing the process and helping the private sector get more involved in investing in the goals and objectives of the CRA plan. Next one. Just to give you an idea of the increment, as this indicates that 2026 is the last year of the current plan. If we can get it continued over the next 10 years, we would have another $46 million for capital improvements. So, and then we actually identified in orders of magnitude different areas for improving the living conditions, Mason Avenue, Riverside Park, district-wide landscaping, public art program. Again, these all came out of our public meetings. Code enforcement, public safety, and public partnerships. And by identifying these in the plan, we have, sometime in the future, you have the resources, you can address those and leverage those resources. Infrastructure, again, this is the big ticket item. LPGA Boulevard, Ridgewood Corridor improvements, flooding and water safety, the railroad corridor, and underground utilities. And Pictona, attracting investments, entertainment district, creating a small area plan around Pictona that would attract private sector investments, Southern Hospitality District, opportunity, Carswell Industrial Area that I mentioned with the interest on the Volusia County side, and continue to support the Center for Pictona and infrastructure improvements, supporting those. Keepers of the Vision, this is completely up to you as to, obviously you have CRA administration to keep this going, and we want to establish an advisory board. One of the things is looking around the state and seeing those types of best practices and so forth, how that may help you. And then the board training and education, once that goes with the Florida Redevelopment Association. So overall total projects for these things, 136 million, increment is 57 million, so you can see it's somebody else as the private sector, state grants, federal grants, whatever it is, and the same type of process and support that you currently get on projects. And again, as I've said, that in all CRAs, you're usually getting a 3 to 5 to 6 to 1 investment of private sector for every dollar you invest. That's what I say. And then this is the conceptual plan. Again, this identifies intersection improvements on the corridor, mainly for pedestrian safety and the like. And then it also identifies specific areas that were mentioned in the plan. Next slide. Is that it? Okay, well,
Any questions at this time? Thank you, sir. Was that an Amber Alert or weather?
Dade County.
Thank you.
So would any from the audience like to comment on what you just heard? Yes, ma'am, you had your hand up first. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Charlotte Baumgart. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Baumgart, and I'm from Holly Hill. One of the questions I had is, I know that there was, as you know, stormwater and flooding is one of the things that greatly concerns me, but we're not in this project area, the CRA. We're not in the CRA. So are the recommendations that were just discussed, are they only for the CRA
Yes, ma'am.
area? Okay, that's what I was afraid of. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
That's my question.
Thank you. Front row, then back row. Come on up, or second row.
Jim Legary, 242 Berlin. I noticed in the packet that the general area of Holly Hill has appreciated more than the CRA, percentage-wise. I'm wondering why that is. If we have a dedicated area, it would seem that we're underperforming, or what is the answer? Y'all are looking at me like I'm...
I don't know, but I would guess there was a bigger lift. This is a blighted area to begin with, so it's going to be a bigger lift. It's going to require more of an improvement than the rest of the city would have. I don't know that to be the fact, but that would be my first thought.
Okay.
I don't
think-
know.
What
particular area
I don't talking about?
It's, in the packet, there is a percentage. And I think the general area of Holly Hill was appreciated.
Was it on one of the elevated schematics that was up there, the one that was shown?
No, and I think
It's a
what,
diagram, it's a bar graph.
Yeah.
I think what we might be talking about is I gotta sit back, is the valuation increase.
Right.
So housing has increased tremendously all over. There are houses in the city of Holly Hill that are going for, I don't think you can get anything under 200,000 in Holly Hill anymore.
300.
So, well, a couple of them just came down. But housing valuations have gone up very high, where commercial valuations have not increased at the same percentage that the housing did. But I can get you a better answer from the property appraiser, from the tax collector, as to why those percentages aren't different, or that are
I
different.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Joe Wabi, Holly Hill resident. I just got to start off by saying that the staff with the city has been outstanding in its support in anything, especially with the CRA. Mr. Cox, who was the former, who Amy took over for, was great, and Amy's doing an impeccable job.
Amy quit.
What's that?
We're not talking to her.
We're
like
not talking.
So my understanding when Mr. Cox was as he explained it to me, it was 10,000 per area to be improved, right? So whether you were doing an asphalt grant.
Grants you're talking about.
The grants, yeah, with the CRA. Now it's changed that you need, if you're doing an asphalt grant, then you need to put in gardening and you need to put in sprinklers and all these things. And I understand that it's changed and it's increased to 15,000. But you know, that makes it difficult for people that are, you know, trying to get a parking lot done, or, you know, a lot of people don't want to put sprinklers in because it messes with the aquifer and different things. So just, you know, wasn't sure if this is something that could be evaluated and changed with the CRA to change the criteria It's also, as Amy can attest, it's very difficult to get grants, or to get quotes. So you're saying to get the parking lot done, you're gonna need 3 asphalt grants, or 3 asphalt quotes, and 3 sprinkler companies to come out and quote, and 3 gardening companies to come out and quote. Getting 3 grants or quotes out of one type of category is nearly impossible.
Phil, I feel your pain. I've been working on it since November.
I've been working on it for like 3 years.
I've been working on it
now,
since November.
trying to get a parking lot done.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I just wonder, are we pushing this down the line, making it more difficult so that we can't use these?
The thought
funds?
process was to try and eliminate some of the concrete and asphalt jungle, to actually add some greenery and some more retention area
Right.
to the corridor.
And we did that, we used the grant before to take out one of our parking spots and put a green space, and it was a zero scape, didn't need any water or anything. And we called the police when our pagoda got stolen, nothing happened. We called the police when our barrel cactus got kicked down the road by a homeless individual, cops never showed up. So, and this was before our new police chief, so, don't blame him. But, we've tried and we've done our part, but we're asking for the city to step up and, so I've said that, so thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to talk about the extension of the community redevelopment area and community redevelopment agency? Seeing none, we'll close audience participation
Sorry.
and entertain a motion unless anyone has any more questions for staff.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Any discussion needed?
I would just like to say, the only reason you're not hearing anything, ma'am, about flooding in maybe your area, this is only CRA area that we're discussing.
Doesn't mean we've taken the eye off the ball and flooding throughout the
I
city.
just wanted you to know that. This,
The tax money that's collected in those highlighted areas can only be spent back in those highlighted areas. So that's the reason that we can't spend this money in your neighborhood.
agree.
All right, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. Val, I think these mics work fine. I think that mic up there at the podium, I don't know if we can get Scott or someone to look at it.
We are budgeting for a completely new wireless sound system in here.
Okay, perfect.
About time. About time.
Okay, so now we're still on public hearings. We'll move to item 2, public hearings, which is addressing 1540 Center Avenue side yard setback variance request. Brian?
Commission? This is a request for a side yard setback variance for 1540 Center Avenue. Just to give a little bit of history, it was toward the end of 2024, the applicant tore down an old pergola that was in their backyard. And prior to rebuilding it, they put up a new shed, but did not obtain a permit. Once the shed was installed, the applicant began rebuilding their pergola, also without a permit. The location of the pergola does not meet the required side yard setback of 8 feet, and prior to completing the pergola, a stop work order was issued by the city's building official. The homeowner was told that the shed and pergola needed permits and to stop all work on the pergola since it was not in a location that met code requirements. Although the pergola, or the new pergola, was being built in the same location as the previous one, the previous pergola did not meet the required side yard setback and therefore was non-conforming. Section 114-34, 4B of the Land Development Regulations state that if the non-conforming structure is damaged in excess of 65% of its then assessed value, any reconstruction shall comply with this chapter, meaning that it would be required to meet all setbacks.
Brian, does the shed meet the setbacks, the necessary setbacks?
The shed does, and I'll be explaining
Okay.
that they did get a
Okay.
permit for that. So the applicant completely removed the previous pergola because it was damaged beyond repair. Therefore, the new pergola is required to meet current codes, which includes the side yard setback variance of 8 feet. Staff explained this rule to the homeowner prior to the structure being completed. The homeowner did obtain an after-the-fact permit for the shed, but continued to work on the pergola without a permit in violation of the city's stop work order. A permit for the pergola is not being issued and would not have been issued because it encroaches into the north side yard setback and does not comply with the rules regarding new structures having to meet the required setbacks once a previous non-conforming structure is torn down. And so, Val, can you bring up page 3, maps and pics? So I think this is, go down a little bit, continue, there. Okay, so this is on the top is the old pergola, the previous one. This is the one that was torn down. Now the new one, under construction, if you go down just a little bit, Alton, thank you, right there. It was at this point that the stop work order was issued by the building official. If you look up at the top of the pergola, there's only 2 rafters that are in place, and the new posts are placed in dirt. They're not attached to the slab. Now the 2 northern posts, which the red arrows point to, those could have been moved back 2.5 feet. And it was at this stage that planning staff explained the rules regarding nonconformity to the homeowner and told him that they could not encroach into the setback. So if you go to the next picture, the pergola, the applicant or the homeowner continued work on the pergola despite the stop work order being issued. You can see that all the rafters are in place, the strapping is in place, so now it's complete. And the next picture is the aerial of the completed pergola that was done without permits and despite the stop work order. So now the applicant is applying for a variance to the side yard setback. The request is for a variance from section 114.765 of the Land Development Regulations of Holly Hill for a side yard setback from 8 feet to 5.5 feet in order to, in essence, legitimize the non-conforming location of the pergola. Well, in order to grant that variance request, this commission must find that the request meets the requirements of section 82-317. And due to the nature of this particular variance, I'll go through most of the criteria. Criteria 1 is that special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or building involved as distinguished from the applicant himself, and which are not applicable to other land, structures, or buildings in the same zoning district. So staff did not find any special circumstances that were peculiar to the land, structure, or this building involved. So it's staff's opinion that they do not meet this criteria. The second criteria is that the special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. Staff's findings are that the applicant started construction of the pergola, which now encroaches into the required side setback without permits, and completed it despite the stop work order from the city's building official. So the homeowner created a circumstance upon which now the variance request is based, and that's not permitted by code. So that criteria is not met. 3 says that granting the variance requested will not confer upon the applicant any special privilege that is denied by this subpart to other lands, buildings, or structures in the same zoning district. Staff states that really what this means is that if the variance is granted, it can't give an unfair advantage or special permission that other properties in the same district do not have access to. So the variance has to address a very specific, unique hardship and not create a new privilege that doesn't apply to other properties in the area. Now, granting the variance will allow the applicant's pergola to encroach into the side setback. Other properties can't do that. So now the question becomes, what is the unique hardship upon which the variance could be granted? Hardship are usually things such as topography, steep slopes, wetlands, irregularly shaped lots, things that make it almost impossible for the applicant to meet the rules. Staff did not find any unique hardship. I just couldn't find a hardship that I could say warranted the recommendation of a variance. Because in all events, there were other options available to the applicant with regard to building the pergola that would have met the side yard setback. And this situation is different from adding on to an existing home that already encroaches into the setback, which the commission approved not too long ago. And that's because this structure was completely torn down. And now it violates the rule requiring that new structures replacing torn down structures meet the code. So it's staff's opinion that they don't meet the variance criteria for 3. Criteria 4 is that a literal interpretation of the provisions of the subpart would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties. Staff does not find that they would be deprived of rights enjoyed by other properties. 5 says that the variance granted is the minimum variance necessary to make possible the reasonable use of the land, building, or structure. Well, the pergola could have been moved closer south a little bit, closer to the shed, or it could have been made slightly smaller to meet the setback. It also could have been turned 90 degrees. There was space in that spot. It would be closer to the pool, but still would have been able to meet that setback. And these remedies would have been easier to implement at the time of the stop work order, but now they're more difficult to implement since the pergola is complete. So they don't meet that criteria in staff's opinion. And finally, criteria number 6, that the grant of the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the subpart of the city's comprehensive plan. It will not be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of the comprehensive plan, and that the comprehensive plan requires that code requirements be followed unless a waiver or variance is granted prior to not following the code. So staff does not feel that they meet that criteria. So staff finds that the applicant has not met any of the criteria as stated in the above in order to grant the request. Therefore, staff recommends denial of the request for a side yard setback variance from the requirements of section 114-765 of the Land Development Regulations titled Schedule of Dimensional Requirements, a variance from the required side yard setback of 8 feet to 5.5 feet for a parcel in the R2 single-family zoning district located on the west side of Center Avenue, approximately 380 feet south of Floman Street, and more particularly known as 1540 Center Avenue. The building official is also here tonight. If you have any questions, he is the one who issued the stop work order, did the inspections, and actually laid eyes on what was happening over the course of weeks.
Thank you, Brian. Any questions for staff at this time?
No.
Yes, sir.
I was reminded we do have this quasi-judicial, so we need to dispose as part of
And-
communications at some point.
Any ex parte communications at this point? None for me. Is the applicant here? Would you like to add something?
Thank you. I'm Dan Salito. I'm the owner of 1540 Center Avenue. If you show a couple pictures back of the old original pergola that was there, it was kind of rickety from the very beginning. I did not remove that structure. The hurricane did. I took upon myself to strap everything, the roof to the legs, because the legs are concreted in the ground. So I took some trucking straps and strapped the roof to the legs when the hurricane came so that it wouldn't fly off to hit the neighbor's house. Okay, so I did not remove it, the storm removed it. I was under the impression, I spoke with Mr. Walker, he said, you would think that because it was already there, I could put it there. Well, I didn't know that it was an unpermitted structure at the time I bought the property. It was never disclosed to me at that time. I know they've been taking taxes on that since 2010, according to a tax report that I gave at the last hearing that came off of the county's website. So I don't have a problem with moving the pergola. At the time the stop work order that they say was entered onto the property, I didn't know about that till the Monday when I got ready to leave for work. I work long hours. When I spend, if you look at some of the pictures in the backyard, I have spent tens of thousands of dollars on upgrading this piece of property since June of last year. You know, the pool was almost 60. By the time I finance it, it's going to be 160. The pergola, I didn't know about. I didn't know about the building. I'm sorry, that it needed a permit. So I filed the proper paperwork, and got a permit for that. I'm waiting to have it anchored to the ground. The permit is still active. Then it'll be closed out. Had I known that a pergola would have needed a permit, I would have acquired one. I don't have a problem in moving the pergola. I stated when I filed the variance report, the neighbor whose yard it's closest to said that she didn't have a problem with it. And there was a written statement from her at the time that the variance report was filed. So if I need to move it to please the city, I don't have a problem with that. I'm not trying to be a difficult individual. I'm trying to just upgrade the property, put back what was already there. I mean, if you look at the house, I spent $225,000 for a house that's worth 60. It's a 64-year-old house. You know, I'm 60, so the house is actually older than I am. But I paid an elevated price for it. I spent, you know, tens of thousands of dollars in the backyard. I just had all new sod put down that I did myself. I'm thousands of dollars deep in flower beds. I'm not trying to be a difficult neighbor. I'm just trying to put back what was already there. So if I need to move it, if the city would give me some guidelines and tell me where it can be, where it can't be, how big it can be, how wide, how long, how tall, I don't have a problem with moving it. All I want to do is just be able to keep it. It was there when I bought the property. It was a selling point. I said, all this house needs is a swimming pool. So I called the pool dude. Pool dude came over, said, here's the price. I said, fix it. Get it done. He filed the permits. At that time is when the pergola was already down. I said, well, if the pool's going to get done, let's get the pergola done at the same time. I spend all of my weekends in the backyard. You can tell by my tan. I don't stay in the house. I'm in the backyard doing yard work, flower beds, whatever, laying sod. I didn't see the stop work order. Had I did, I would have stopped. At that time, the pergola is not complete. There's rafters across the top of it, and that's as far as I went. Then when I went out to work on Monday, I seen the stop work order. I took it off the front of the house. I'm like, uh-oh, this is not good. So I didn't do anything to it. A lot of the stuff has only got 1 or 2 screws across the top. All the 2x4s are anchored down with hurricane straps. There's nailer plates on the end because I wanted to build it in such a fashion that it would not move and it would not cause any damage to the neighborhood or any of my surrounding neighbors. I do have homeowners insurance simply for that fact. But I would like to know if there is a way that I can keep this structure on the property. If I need to move it, please provide me some guidelines so that I can move it. And I don't have a problem with paying the permit fee or whatever the additional cost is. I just want to be able to keep the structure on the property.
Well, we thank you for investing in our city, and it sounds like, based on what the Planning and Appeals Board answer was to recommend the denial of the variance. And reading the tea leaves up here without having anyone speak, I think the main concern this commission is going to have is that you were told to stop. Whether you saw it or not, you continued. But you sound like a reasonable man. You're saying you're willing to move it. I think the city's going to tell you to move it, to comply with all the rules. And I think if you take a Sawzall and chop 2.5 feet off of the one side, it's fine, or move it 2.5 feet to the other side, you're fine. The problem I think you had was that no matter how the pergola left, you made it bigger. You took it off the space.
I actually put it in the same footprint that it was in.
Well, it looked like the four legs were on the concrete previously.
The posts were mounted on the original picture. If you look at the picture of the original pergola, if you look at the corners of where the posts are, they're on the long side of the slab. So if this is the slab, there's a post here and a post here. That's exactly where the posts are. They're in the same hole that the other ones were in, because I still have the big chunks of concrete with the post.
So I'm sorry, so I looked at the picture wrong, so you're right. But I think, I don't know if the commission has any more questions for you, but it sounds like the reasonable thing is to tell you, get with staff, find where the setback is, move it to meet the setback, pay the after-fact permit, no harm, no foul, a little more work on your part, and we all part friends.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with that, sir. All I'm trying to do is be a good member of the community. I spend lots of money in Holly Hill, and I want to continue to keep that piece of property and spend more money on it.
Well, thank you, and we appreciate it. Anyone have any questions or comments for the applicant at this time?
No.
Thank you, so we may call you back up, but I don't think we have any comments at this time. Are there any comments from the audience on this variance request? Seeing none, we'll close audience participation and entertain a motion
I'll make a motion
to approve or to deny.
to approve.
You're going to go down
No,
in
I'm
flames.
reading it the wrong way. To deny, sorry. Yeah,
A motion to deny?
correct.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion to deny the variance request, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries unanimously, but you can get with Mr. Walker tomorrow, and he can tell you exactly where that pergola needs to go, what you have to do with the permitting process to make it legal for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we'll move to communications from staff. Joe?
I don't have anything other than we have our goal-setting session coming up on Thursday, and I'm kind of looking forward to that. We'll have some lunch for the commission and the department heads that will be there to present briefly during the first, from 12 to 1, and then we'll jump in with both feet and get a new set of goals on the books.
Okay.
Yeehaw.
You be,
Let Joe know if you have any dietary restrictions.
So you
I think he's already heard about them before the meeting.
From 12 to 1?
You're going to be there
you'll be there
from
from
12
12 to 5.
We're going to be there from 12 to 5?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was already preparing myself for that. But the way you just said it sounded like I was going to get off the hook there. so-
No, we're going to feed you lunch. We'll keep
It's a working lunch.
Yeah.
Scott, you got anything for us?
No comments, Mayor.
Val, you have anything for the good of the order? So I would just, a couple things. I would just like to thank the staff and the teammates and employees that showed up for our April 17th Employee Appreciation Lunch at Sunrise Park.
Yes.
I think it was a very nice event, and hopefully we can continue that because April 17th will be Friday next year. I don't know what we'll do about April 17th on Saturday. We'll have to observe it on Monday like a federal holiday or something like that. Also like to thank Valerie and Amy and all staff members and Joe and the fire department for putting out hay for our Easter egg hunt. And I think a good time was had by all. I only had one person they showed up 12 minutes late, told them it was over, their kids started crying. Amy gave them a handful of candy, made them happy.
Good job.
So it all worked out, but just remember next year, if your children or grandchildren are coming, 10 a.m., not 10:01, if you don't want to see.
Yeah, because they'll be gone. They do not last.
And so that's all I have. So we'll go ahead and start with Commissioner Johnson this evening.
That's okay. I'd just like to thank everyone for coming to the Daytona Beach ribbon cutting, Daytona Chamber ribbon cutting that we had at the Sports Center for the golf and the 2-year anniversary. I think it was a great event, and I'm sure glad everyone could come. And then we had that little photo shoot at the Sunrise Park for the new playground equipment. That was a great thing. And tomorrow is the TPO meeting, so if anybody wants to bring anything up for that. It'll be a time coming in the future, but we still need to address LPGA because LPGA is growing so fast on the sidelines. LPGA needs to grow real fast on the actual road that you drive on as well, the way it is. I mean, I've been pushing for it for a long, long time, and it really, really needs to be done. And also, I saw the little CRA thing that they have improvements in Mason Avenue, which is a great thing. Mason Avenue really needs to be improved really, really bad from Nova Road going towards Clyde Morris. But it really needs to be improved on our area as well, Nova Road to US 1, but I still don't know for absolutely sure who actually owns Mason Avenue. Is Mason Avenue owned by the city of Daytona? Is Mason Avenue owned by the county? Is Mason Avenue owned partly by the city of Holly Hill?
I don't have a good answer for you, but I'll get one.
I think it depends on what side of the line you're on.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that, but that's been an ongoing questionable project for quite some time about Holly Hill and Daytona kind of partnering with the improvements of Mason Avenue, which would have to be between Nova Road and US 1 if it's anything just strictly to do with Holly Hill.
Yeah, there is an improvement project on Mason Avenue, and our involvement is on the north side from Beach Street, Riverside Drive, Beach Street to the railroad track.
Oh,
That's what's in our jurisdiction.
so it don't even go west of the road.
No, we don't go west of the railroad.
I'll tell you, I think Mason Avenue really needs to be increased out around Derbyshire area and out through that area as well. That's strictly Daytona, I'm sure we don't get
Yeah.
that. But I do have a TPO meeting in the morning, so if anyone wants to, and I really appreciate you going to the last one for me.
Anytime.
Because I was in the garage area at the time, I couldn't get back up on the track. And I couldn't come to the little cookout of what we had in I think in Riverside Park, because I was in the garage area again, so I guess I had a good excuse, but like you say, it's an excuse.
You need to stay out of that hospital.
I'm staying out of the hospital. I've spent enough time in there for several people lately.
We're glad you're here tonight.
But God is with me, God helps me, God makes me better.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Snow.
I just want to bring up one of the things I'm going to talk about at the goals session, and this is for everybody who's here. We need involvement in our city by our citizens. We have committees and boards. We have an election coming up in a year and a half for 2 districts, and we need people involved, and we just don't get any response by reaching out. And I'm going to start asking each one of you to talk to your neighbors. Hey, do you want to be involved? You can talk to any one of us. You can talk to any of the staff, find out what getting involved is about. But we need people to get involved. And I think that's it.
Okay. Commissioner Curry.
Thank you. I want to thank Val, Amy, I guess, for the Easter, no, I'm just messing with you, for the Easter egg hunt and festivities and all the staff that assisted you guys. It was a very good day. Doesn't last very long. The little kiddos are quick. And also a reminder that there's a concert over at Pictona on Friday. I believe it's the Beatles tribute. 7?
Okay.
Is that 7? 7 o'clock, and please go on hollyhillevents.org to register and let them know it's no charge, but just so they'll know how many people to expect. And also, I'd love the employees luncheon. I wish more would come out next year, and they don't necessarily have to talk to us, I know. Being a previous government employee, I understand, but
I don't know if it's the food or the servers.
it's probably the service.
I'm thinking it was Joe. No, wait a minute. Service was fine.
The ice cream was the best, just saying.
You must love Jeremiah's.
I like it.
And I really have nothing else. Thank you for everybody that comes out and gets involved and stays involved, and I appreciate it. That's all I have.
Commissioner Delanoy was having a muscle cramp, so I think he was having a Charlie horse, so he walked out, so you wouldn't hear him scream.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you had anything material to tell us.
I don't know where he went.
He went limping down the hall. He said he's getting a leg cramp and needs to excuse himself. But in the spirit of letting everyone go home, I could sing, but I can't sing. I see him right there. He's right there.
Hey, JD, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Okay, he says he's got nothing to say. So, without
He doesn't
anything
say
further,
very well, but you know.
we're going to go ahead and be adjourned.
All right.